Okay, now you should be looking at flowchart number 1, and now you're looking at the sort of pinkish box that just says formal debate on setting the agenda. Now, I just want to remind you to get here, to get to this point in the conference. We did the roll call, we did the motion to open debate, we did the motion to open the speakers list and establish a speaking time. Ideally, you want to be the delegate to make the motion to open the speakers list and set a speaking time and have your motion pass. And the reason why is this is an opportunity to make a good first impression on the chair and fellow delegates. So if you're going to make that motion, don't just wing it, man. You should have a plan for what you're going to say. You should have thought about it before you got there. Now, there may be 80 delegates in your committee, and only one person is going to be able to speak on setting the agenda first. So it doesn't matter if you're actually the first one, if you're the first or the second or the third one, but if you're up there early, that's going to be good. But the best position is to be first. So try and make the motion, try and get it accepted, but have something planned out. So if you're lucky enough to be one of the early speakers, you have something useful, significant, and memorable to say. Now remember what the goal is if you go up and you're speaking in that particular part of the conference. The goal is to convince delegates to vote for the topic that you want to discuss first. The order in which the topics are going to be discussed. You want them to talk about a particular thing. Now, what is that based on? That may be based on your country and what issues that they are most important to them in your country. And so that's what you want to do. You want to convince as many people to go along with what you want to do as your country. Now, there are some rules about formal debate on setting the agenda. These are important to remember. First, delegates must speak affirmatively about the topic that they want to discuss first. You have to argue in favor of your topic, not against the topic. You can't get up there and say, the topic, whatever topic A is significantly more important or way more urgent than the other topic. You can't be critical of the other topic. You don't want to, and you certainly don't want to argue that the other topic isn't important or urgent because the chair picked that other topic. So you're basically saying to the chair, like, wow, you picked one stupid topic and one good one. Make the case in favor of the order you want. And usually what that involves is speaking in favor and why your topic that you want to discuss first is most important. Now, unfortunately, this rule isn't always enforced. Some chairs will permit criticisms of the other topics. It's just unfortunate, but that's the way it happens. We take pride in understanding the rules of procedure, and so we're going to follow the rules of procedure even in conferences where the chairs don't follow the rules of procedure. We're going to do that all the time. Now, in well-run conferences, a good chair won't interrupt a delegate. If a delegate's starting to criticize the other topic, a good chair won't interrupt him and say, oh, excuse me, delegate, you're not supposed to be critical of the other topic. What a good chair will do is they'll wait for the delegate to be done. They'll say, thank you, delegate. And they say, just let me remind delegates that when you're speaking on this topic, you should be speaking in the affirmative for the topic you want to discuss first. That way they don't embarrass the person who was just being critical. Because sometimes people do it just because they're inexperienced or they haven't been trained well, whatever. So that's what a good chair will do. Like I say, COC always follows the rules, right? For two reasons. One, it's a rule, okay? So follow the rule. Second, like I said before, it's a smart thing to do. The topic in the background guide was selected by the chair. If the chairs didn't think the topics were important, they wouldn't have included them. So implying that a topic isn't important is like an implicit criticism of the chair. You don't want to piss off the chair. That doesn't make any sense, especially at the very beginning of the process. Chairs are actually very sensitive. So let me tell you a story, a true story about what happened. We were having a conference. At this particular conference, the two chairs, one was from Cal State Northridge and one was from College of the Canyons. And there was a delegate from College of the Canyons who apparently didn't approve of the way the chair from CSUN was chairing. So every time the chair made a ruling that our delegate disagreed with, he would roll his eyes. They were sitting right across the table from one another, and so our delegate was making it very clear to the chair that he disapproved. When it came time to give out awards, the truth is that delegate was a good delegate. And the chair from COC said, well, this delegate deserves an award. The chair from CSUN said, oh, hell no. There's no way that guy's getting an award. I had to sit and watch his shit for the whole conference. It isn't happening. And that delegate didn't get an award for that reason. Okay, chairs are sensitive. They've earned their spot. They want to be treated with respect. And if you don't treat them with respect, they're going to notice it. So you don't want to be critical. Here's the other thing. Don't go over your speaking time. Like if you said speaking time of 1 minute, usually what they'll do is if the speaking time is 1 minute, what they'll tell everybody, they'll say, okay, the chair will knock at 50 seconds or the chair will knock at 45 seconds. What that means is that as soon as you start talking, the time starts. Then at 45 seconds, they'll make a light knock. That's your signal. You've got 15 seconds left. You want to make sure that if you got 15 seconds left, you start wrapping up what you have to say. What some delegates will do is they'll keep talking. The chair will knock 45 seconds. That's fine. They continue talking. When the chair knocks loudly and says, thank you, delegate, they continue talking. Don't do that, right? Don't defy the chair, right? That's just not a good way to go. So we'll practice this in simulations over and over and over again, but you've got to pay attention to how much time you have left when you're speaking. That's part of the process. So you've got to worry about being knowledgeable, thinking about what you're going to say. We're going to talk about this later on, but sort of having an emotion, like an emotional hook to grab the attention of other delegates, but you also have to be mindful of the speaker's time and not go over the speaker's time, because for the chair, that's basically saying, I don't have to listen to you. I can speak for as long as I want. It's not a good, it's rude, so we don't do that, and it's bad strategy. Some of the rules for the speakers list. When a delegate gets to speak, right, if you're the first delegate that gets to speak, so Cameroon is at the top of the list, as soon as you walk up to speak, the first thing that's going to happen, and the delegates will see it, you won't see it because your back will be turned to the screen because you're now facing the delegates, they'll cross your name off the list, right, because you're already speaking. But the thing is, you want to always be on the speaking list. You want to always be on the speaking list. You want to speak as often as possible. That's why. But also, the first thing I do when I walk into the room is look and see if my delegates are on the speaking list. Now, when you're called up to the front of the room to speak on the agenda, and every time you speak, one of the things you're going to notice is that your body is going to react to what's about to happen. You're going to have a physiological reaction as you're walking up in front of the class. Unless you're like super cool, you're going to have a reaction. Your heart rate's going to go up. Your breathing is going to get shallow. We're going to talk about this later on. This isn't in your head, man. This is in your body. This is real, what's happening. So, it's easy to get caught up in the moment. It's easy to go ahead and you give a good speech. Maybe you're great or maybe you were terrible, one thing or the other. And either way, when you're done, you're just thinking like, I need to sit down now. I need to go sit down. And so you walk back. What we want delegates to do is have a note with them saying to the chair from Cameroon, please add Cameroon to the speakers list, but I want you to hand the note to the chair or to the dais before you give your speech. So you walk up there, right? You're trying to keep yourself calm. First thing you do is you hand down the note real gently and, put it on the table where the chair is sitting, and then you walk back over, stand in front of everybody, and that's your body's way. Like as soon as you drop off that note, that's your way of telling your body, like, game's on. Let's do this now. And you're ready to go. But you got to hand it off ahead of time, because if you wait until after, So many times we've seen it where delegates will have that note in their hand and they walk down and they sit down back in their seat after they've given their speech, and after they start to regain their breathing normally and their heart rate, they look in their hand and like, I forgot to hand it off. Don't do that. Just hand it off first and use that as a signal for yourself to say, okay, here we go. Sort of a way to tell your body this thing is happening. Okay?